Welcome to Conversations with Laurel, everyone. I am your host, Laurel McCargue, and I have a very special guest with me today. Her name is Kate Shattuck. Hi, Kate.
Hi. Hi, everyone. And hi,
Where
Laurel.
where are you coming from?
I am from right now in northern Pennsylvania in Bradford County in a small village sort of tucked into the woods.
All righty. Um,
Yeah.
I am in Salida, Colorado, in a beautiful place tucked in to the mountains. You should come out and visit me sometime.
All right. Maybe I will.
That would be lovely. I met you, Kate, for those listening now. Sometimes people wonder, like, how do you find these people to interview? Well, I met you at West Point, the United States Military Academy, back in April when there was a celebration, the 50th year celebration of women being admitted to the military academies, where women like us
That's
got
right.
to prove to the world that yes, we can lead people.
Yes. And dedicate our lives to service.
And yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I think it's pretty awesome that we met at Westies, that's owned by Mark and Holly West, and Holly, West Point woman, and what an electric night there, and also just a really nice community.
Yeah. I mean, that whole time was just such a great uh what would we say? It just was reinforced that what we have done has been good and honorable and noble, and we deserved to be there, and we still do, and nobody's going to stop us, and nobody's going to set us back.
Yeah. And also, well, I don't know. I had a little bit of a non-traditional time at West Point, Laurel. I had fun.
You had fun. So I graduated in 1983. You graduated
Okay.
in 1996.
Yes. So because of you, I could have fun. I could be a rebellious teenager and a rebellious young cadet in many ways. So,
Wow. I can honestly say I did not have fun.
oh, also sometimes fun is not traditional fun, which is also something I think that West Point teaches, like working hard and getting good at your craft. And I remember a Friday night where my roommate Angela taught us all chemistry while our next door neighbor Joel sort of shined our boots and helped us shine our boots, and I cleaned the sinks, and I definitely ran to go get the ice cream on that Friday night. And that's one of my core memories of fun, actually.
All
Yeah,
right. Okay. There were times, as a plebe, I remember it was Halloween and we did bobbing for brass, where they upperclassmen filled our sink with water and shaving cream and put our brass from our uniform underneath, and we had to, dunk our head in the sink full of shaving cream and hot water and bring out the brass. That was fun.
that's a different fun.
It's a different one. I guess.
83 Class of 83. Well, thank you. And thanks to all the ladies of those years, 80,
The,
81,
yeah,
82,
yeah,
83.
80,
Yeah, first group.
1980. 80 was the first
Yeah.
year that women graduated from the military academy. It's pretty awesome. Well, today we're going to talk about you, and we're going to talk about your book, More Than a Living. What corporate, you have one too?
Yeah.
What corporate insiders do to achieve career growth, leadership, and purpose. And this is a practical blueprint for the ambitious professional. So, tell our listeners a little bit more about you. Like, who are you?
Sure. Well, the short version of that is I went to West Point when I was 17, and I spent about a decade in the Army, a decade in financial services companies, and now a little bit more than a decade at Korn Ferry. And that's my professional resume, but who am I? I'm fun, I'm direct, I'm a good friend, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a gardener, I'm a triathlete, a swimmer, a Christian. a good Catholic,
I used
which
to
means
be.
that means I have a lot of guilt. It's good. I'm a daughter. And really back to some of our earlier comments, I think that I'm a servant to my community and to all the above, right? All those groups and all those communities that I'm a part of. And that's really important to me. That West Point, at the end of the alma mater, I mean, I'm trying to live a life where at the end it will be said, well done.
Yeah. Oh, don't make me cry.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I thought about that. I mean, that does get into the book because there's been some moments in the past couple years where I've had some friends really pass away quickly, and I said, "What am I going to give to what's going to be here for my kids?" So this book started out as the top 10 things I wanted my kids to know.
Okay. All
It
right.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So right now, and that's a great answer. All the things that you are, right? I mean, we
Yes.
we aren't just one thing.
No,
We aren't just our title, our job.
of
Uh,
course not.
we're so much. We're
Yes.
awesome. But right now, your job is executive recruiter. Is that fair to
Right.
say?
Right.
Could you?
So
Yeah, I was gonna say, just describe the day of an executive recruiter. Like what do you do?
I am obsessed with my clients. So when I get up in the morning, I think about our clients' needs for talent to match the moment of strategy in that company organization. Most of the organizations or companies that I personally work with are very purpose driven. And so they
Okay.
have a strong mission. They want to contribute to their community in some way. They have a strong value set. And that's pretty fun to work with organizations that are driven for a very specific customer value or community value. And that's pretty fun. So I get to think about that kind of big picture, but then tactically I have to I think about every day I think about the individual candidates or potentially the new CEOs for those organizations.
Okay.
And I think about who could be the right fit for this company at this moment in time. What are the barriers to recruiting them? What are the big opportunities? And then tactically, okay, are they scheduled to meet with the CFO or do they need a copy of the financials? Have they signed a non-disclosure agreement? Have we done confidential references on them? So things from the big picture on what's that organization strategy and do we have the right people in that moment to meet that strategy, to the little pieces of scheduling and details where sometimes the little things are the big things
Yeah.
and you want to make sure all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. And so i
Yeah.
think about i think about those current projects. I think about new clients. I think about keeping in touch with my old candidates and various other folks I work with. And then a big part of my day is mentoring, teaching, coaching our other colleagues here at Corn Ferry. And that's
Okay.
the most fun, right?
All right.
And that's even how to do a confidential reference, right? How to get somebody on the phone that doesn't know you and to get a sort of a third party view of a potential candidate, or teaching someone how to really think about that unique candidate's upside and downside. What are their big risks and opportunities now that they're qualified for the project? So
So you help both the candidate looking for the job and the company to find the right candidate. It's matching kind of
it very much
and
is
coaching.
matching. Although it really is important for folks to know, and this is such a nice opportunity, that as a search firm,
Mhm.
we are aligned with the clients. We don't help individuals find jobs. And
Okay.
once they're a candidate, we help them present their best self. And that is
Okay.
really important. But we are aligned with the client, and that's who is hired us to make sure that there's a really great fit, and also make sure that we leave no stone unturned, right? We look everywhere, nationally, globally, for the right person.
And finding the best fit is what you talk about in your book, right? So
It is.
your audience, you kind of wrote this because you wanted your kids to know what they should be doing to
That's
get
right.
their ideal job, but it's also for people who are already in the system, right?
That's right. Well, I
Looking
thought my 14-year-old isn't ready, right, to
to be the
to
CEO of a major
to be the
corporation.
CEO. Although maybe she's pretty awesome, so maybe she is actually. And she 100% maybe better than others. But I thought about, okay, when can I be here when she's ready to read this? And so I thought about 25-year-old's daughter. I thought about 30-year-old son. I thought about maybe when one of the kids is 40 and they're in a moment where hopefully I will be there. And when you write this, you're like, okay, now that it's down, I know for sure that I'll be here. And the way this evolved though was, instead of sort of boiling the whole ocean, I really did think about the kids at sort of 22 to 30. And I thought, this is when you need to hear some hard truths.
Yes.
And and a lot of there are books out there for entrepreneurs, and there are books out there for people who want to do startups. And there's even books for moms and leaning in and all of that. But I felt like for a great percentage of the population, a lot of people work in corporate America. And now with remote and hybrid, you don't get to learn the nuances of corporate behavior as much as we used to. And
Right.
so right now there's a lot of really bad news about AI taking over white collar jobs,
Mhm.
about student loan debt being so high,
Right.
about people living in their parents' basement.
Yeah.
I wanted to give away some of the knowledge, not wait for the kids to be 30 and need it, but right now, I want to give this away, this information and my experience, so that some young woman today in the middle of Texas or Florida or Louisiana who doesn't have a mentor could pick this up and say, all right, I'm better prepared right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to talk about some specific things in here. And again, this
Yeah,
is 96 pages long because you're a 1996 West Point graduate. I think you might have done that on purpose.
I did that on purpose. Shout
But
out.
again, what I love about this, and again, you talk about all the other books out there,
Yes.
they can be tomes. This is practical and very easy to digest. It's
Yeah.
very easily consumable. Talk about the three adjectives
Yes.
that people need to know about themselves. I thought that was fascinating.
Thank you. Well, in each chapter, I share what I feel is a corporate truth, and then what is something that you could do today that will help you get ahead, right? Because I'm not interested in a 3-year coaching program right now. I want you to come away with something that's actionable.
Right now,
One
yeah.
of those things that's really actionable is to think about how people describe you, think about you at your best, and what are the 3 adjectives that you feel describe you at your very best, and also even your edges too. And I think if you are interviewed, if you are talking about yourself in the work environment, it's helpful to have those 3 adjectives in your hip pocket, because, well, in an interview, someone might ask you, how do you define yourself, or what are you great at? It's nice to have those 3 adjectives really handy.
So give us an
Also,
example. Give us an example of one.
well, it's funny because I was talking with someone right before this,
Yeah.
And I said to them, I'm very direct. I'm fun and I'm structured.
Yeah.
And I think that that gave him a sense of me
Yeah.
in a way that now he might sort of put me in a box, but at least it's the box that I mostly want myself in.
Okay.
Because when people, boy, Laurel, I mean, when you say that you're a West Pointer,
Yeah.
people
Make
put
assumptions.
all kinds of, and newsflash, you and I don't look like MacArthur, right?
Right.
So it's kind of hard for people to like consume I feel like especially us as West Point women,
Mhm.
because well, and definitely you all, that the early 80s group, but boy, there was no standard issue girl cadet for a long time.
Mhm.
And so we are a little rebellious, we're a little anti-conformist. I love that, right? I have a little, and I talk about this in the book. I have a little rebellious nature about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Um, but I like the three adjectives because also I've done some self-reflection on those. So that's not I'm purposeful about those adjectives. And I'm also humbly would say that those three things also are developmental areas for me. And so
Okay.
if the reason why I recommend this in the book is because if you want to kind of in an interview format or in a initial discussion, it's helpful to have those in your, again, like the proverbial hip pocket. But also, if you want to talk about my developmental areas, we could actually talk about those as developmental areas too. And that shows, hopefully, at 52 years old, some humility, some EQ, some understanding about who I am as a person and where I'm fall short sometimes too.
Willingness to keep growing.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So you talk
Well, Laurel,
about, oh yeah.
what are three adjectives for you?
Oh no, don't make me do that. Because right now my adjectives would be hungry. Uh, um, I would say, oh gosh, I should have come up with these before the
All right.
interview. Determined, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, fun. I do like to have fun. So the rebelliousness, right? It is
Yeah.
that can have a negative connotation,
Mhm.
but in the context of being a leader, it also have a negative connotation, but it can also let people know that you are willing to fight, right?
Right.
For what's
Yeah,
right.
that's
So,
right.
yeah, I guess I'm a fighter.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, and I still am. Every day you got to get up, right? You got to get up and do something. I mean, I'm 67, going on
Wow.
68, and every morning when my alarm goes off, I don't want to get out of bed because I like being snuggly, but boy,
Mhm.
I make myself and I had my walk with my friend this morning, and even though I didn't want to and I wanted her to text and say, let's sleep in this morning, she didn't, and so we went on our, and I felt so good after. And so it's, doing the hard things, even if you
Mhm.
don't want to, things that you know will make you better or
Mhm.
keep you strong, keep you
Mhm.
fit. Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Love that.
All right. So back to your book.
Yes.
You talk about how, and this is really important, I think, for young people.
Mhm.
People, your first impression is made before you walk in for your interview, right?
Yeah.
And so tell our listeners how that first impression is made.
Some people say it's the first 6 seconds, someone has a blank on you. And in an interview context, that can be positive or negative. It's really helpful to take a pause before you enter the room, or even think go through that mental rehearsal just like a champion swimmer or a champion Olympic athlete does a rehearsal. Think about how you're going to walk in the room. When you're speaking, it's often helpful to take a big cleansing breath And you are responsible for the energy that you bring into the room.
Yeah.
And that I do have one little hack, which not a little hack, and I share this with all of our CEO candidates. I love a good walk-on playlist. And I think everyone should have their own walk-on music before a big meeting. You don't have this doesn't have to be your wife's walk-on list or your husband's or your boyfriend's or your kids' walk-on music. This is yours. So I don't care if it's Twisted Sister or
Or Mozart.
Mozart or the Pennsylvania polka or Taylor Swift. It doesn't matter. You have to do something that you love and that gives you joy and that sort of gets all those positive emotions. And I think that this is a big part of taking ownership of your career. You have to take ownership of those emotions
Yeah.
when you think about walking in the room.
Okay. But even before that, and this
Mhm.
is kind of what I was getting at,
Yes.
and a potential employer already
Yes.
has an idea of you, don't they? And how do they get that idea?
We do. LinkedIn really is the modern business card, and it even is the modern resume. So take a minute to look at your LinkedIn profile, think about your picture. In the age now of even AI pictures, there's a warning there, but professional pictures are easy to do. It is, you get to control your background, you get to control what you wear, but it doesn't have to be professionally shot or even AI generated. You can take a nice professional picture about how you want to be perceived.
Mhm.
And then also think about the couple items that you talk about in your LinkedIn profile. You're a good headline, a good summary. You control all these things in your various parts of your job history. What kind of accomplishments were you really proud of? What kind of organizations do you want to follow? If you went to a university, what kind of organizations were you involved in that you would want to highlight to a potential employer? All these things are in your control. Phone a friend, ask your friends to look at it, ask your mom or your siblings, right? They'll give you a nice view and they'll be kind, but I think you might get some really good feedback. And unfortunately, this is the hard truth, is that folks are going to make a judgment based on your LinkedIn, and a lot of recruiters will make that judgment before they even call you.
And beyond even LinkedIn, do
Hmm.
recruiters look at other social media profiles?
Absolutely.
Do they look at your Facebook post? Do they look at your Insta post or your TikTok? I mean, do they, because there's stuff out there that you
Every
might
day.
not want to have out there before you apply for a job.
That's right. And I think the lesson here is you have to be your authentic self and bring your authentic self, but you have to take a hard look at what kind of external profile. And boy, this is not something that we had to do
Yeah.
as 20 something year olds. Thank goodness.
Oh,
And so this is a tough part um, about the world today, but also you're in control of your privacy settings on your various social medias and what you put out there. And it's a really tough environment. But if someone's going to make a call, do they pick, do they want Sally to come in or do they want Juanita to come in? And Sally has something on her Facebook that's sort of controversial. They might go the other direction.
yeah.
But also similarly, if they're a controversial type organization that takes a big view and is really out there, that might be okay or even desirable.
Right. So you have to know what you're getting
Mhm.
into.
And know
Um,
your audience.
yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So you have, and again, you have so many practical tips in here. You talk about acing the interview, right? Once they determine that they've looked at your Insta, they've looked at your social media, they think you might be a good fit, they invite you for an interview. You talk about acing the interview and the percentages of time
Do.
that's, kind of
Yeah.
allotted to that. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, this is my favorite subject ever. Big picture, I believe that each interview has sort of a warm up or the softball kinds of questions, then has a Q&A where just like you're interviewing me, you ask questions, I give you answers, and then candidate questions at the end are really important. Big picture, I think about an interview, whether it's 15 minutes long or whether it's 2 hours long, about 5% of the time is in that chemistry introduction type, getting to know each other. About 70-75% is the questions that the interviewer asks to the candidate. And then about 20% at the end should be candidate questions to the organization or the interviewer. Now, being interviewed, boy, you learn a lot if the organization doesn't ask you if you have any questions. But that could be a flag even right
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So in a typical interview, there's the warm up, softball questions, even tell me about yourself. Then there's the Q&A, and then lastly there's your candidate questions that you should ask the organization. So each part of these you can kind of prepare, right? You can prepare that tell me a little bit about yourself, short, punchy, about a minute and a half. Also, people like to ask questions like, why now? Why is this job the right job for you right now? The big watch out there is they've already decided to interview you. You
Yeah.
do not need to tell them your life story or 20 minutes about your resume. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. You have, think about it like a warm up. You have about 2 to 3 minutes to get done like an arc of your life coming back to why am I here sitting in front of you today? So that's a big watch out. Yeah.
And
And
again,
then
yeah.
in that middle part, Laurel, we think about storytelling, right? How do you answer a question in a way that puts someone in the room where it happens?
Yes, yes.
I want to be on that walk with you and your friend,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because we talk about all kinds of stuff. But again, kind of like your book, which is punchy, short and punchy and to the point. You even say, don't talk, no one to shut up, right?
Right.
Don't go on and on and on.
Stop talking. And
Yeah.
And if you're long-winded, you probably know you're a little long-winded. And just like right now, I have notes right here in front of me. Sometimes I put a note, SU, shut up, right? Or stop talking.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. All right, here's a
Right?
here's a question. Do interviewers still ask the tell us a weakness? Do they still ask the tell us a weakness question?
Absolutely. Right now, there the easy one is what's your biggest weakness?
Yeah.
Also, though, now I think folks are getting a little bit smarter about it. They say, uh, where would you need a strong number two, especially in big CEO jobs? They ask that. You say, what would your worst critics say about you? We love that
Ah.
question. hmm
Ah.
Uh, but I like to say, where are your strengths overused?
Overused.
So
Okay.
where are you really strong
Yeah.
and you might rely on a behavior or something you do really well, but you overdo it.
And what would be the result of overdoing something that you're good at?
A big fat weakness.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah. So typically or I don't know if it's typically, but a lot of times we see someone's biggest weaknesses are actually when they have a strength and they overdo it. I have a big one. I mean, we talked about that I was structure I have a high structure orientation, and that is a big strength of mine. But sometimes when I just want that structure, I just want to meet that timeline. Well, guess what, Kate? You have to adapt.
Yeah.
And I can be so driven. Thank you, West Point. Thank you. Thank you, my Polish grandmother, right? We can talk about it, right? For real. But I can be so structured driven that I'm just driven to the end instead of allowing for that adaptability. And that has
Okay.
been a big part of growing up. So I have to share with my friends, work friends, my family to say, hey, I need help. I need help in these moments. And I have a great work friend, and she'll just like tap me on the wrist when she sees that I'm driving too hard.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's
also, Laurel, like that's a real weakness. That's not a bologna sandwiches weakness, like
yeah.
I work too hard or
Yeah.
I care too much. Worse.
Is there a memorable answer to that question? I mean, how many interviews have you done? How many?
Well, 10,000 interviews.
10,000. Uh,
10,000 interviews.
do you have
Mhm.
notches on a belt or something? How do you keep track of your interviews?
Oh, uh, no, but gosh, I mean, you remember some good ones, and and that's why the storytelling. And I actually share this story in the book. This one candidate told this amazing story of how as a young man he was actually fighting a fire in a hospital, and how he ran so hard with the hose that the hose was too short, and so it stopped him, and he flipped over backwards while this
Oh,
fire is sort of in my mind raging, and he was so mad. You can picture him as this sort of pretentious sort of 17, 18-year-old. I think it was in Colorado, but I'm not sure. Right? He's a
yeah.
buff guy.
Or yeah.
And he sort of marched down to the CEO's office. And he's like, "Why were these hoses are too short?" So he had fought the fire, and he went into the hospital CEO's office, and that CEO talked to him for 2 hours, and afterwards he knew that he would be a hospital CEO.
Wow.
Now, I just told you that story. That I remember where I was when this guy was telling me the story, and I was like, "Oh my gosh." Right now today, I mean, I'm sure that was over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That he I'm and I know where he was driving somewhere, and maybe he was in Colorado at the moment. But I don't remember the project. I don't remember the his name.
But the story was memorable.
The story was memorable, and
Yeah.
that's a part of our own natural biases, right? Is
Yeah.
to remember stories instead of facts. And
Yes.
so I do think, Laurel, you can legitimately have a personal failure or a personal weakness story that is true to you, and also shows how much you've examined your life or how you've examined your career and your real sense of knowing yourself, your level of humility, that kind of thing. And yes, we do ask that.
Yeah, that's so while I'm thinking about this, if you would ask me, a
Mhm.
personal
Yes.
weakness, I remember, and again, this is a story, and maybe one of mine is I'm too trusting, or
Mm,
maybe too naive at times. And this goes back to West Point, being a plebe, having an
yeah.
upperclassman share with me and my roommate. This was before um, a rally, a football rally. Like for those of you
Mhm.
out there, before football games, there would be a big rally at West Point, and it was a time when you could cut loose, have fun, actually have fun, dress in crazy uniforms. Wear your tar bucket with your PT shorts and your your boots.
But
Did you have go-go boots when you were as
I
part of your
did.
uniform?
I
We had
didn't.
go-go, the girls in our class, we had go-go boots as part of our skirt uniform. Anyway, you could dress up crazy and go out and
That's awesome.
I wish I still had them. Uh, that's a whole other story. But this upperclassman was saying that if we wanted to, we could put pennies in the upperclassman's door, and like penny a door. And maybe it's a thing. He's like, you could penny the door, and then the upperclassman couldn't get out. Like he was helping us
Yeah.
to do a prank on upperclassmen. Well, rally starts. You start hearing it, and Joanne and I are ready to go out. All of a sudden, our door opens, slams closed, and we're like, what the heck? There's a newspaper, a wet newspaper in our door that has totally jammed our door. We can't get
Oh,
out. So
oh,
we trusted this. I trusted this upperclassman to do this. We're stuck in our room. Now, does that keep us in our room? No, of course. We were only on the second floor. So we didn't have any sheets because it was like laundry day or whatever. But we had all of our BDU, our pants. So we took out all our pants, we tied all the legs together, uh, we wrapped it around the window frame, and I went out first. And then while Joanne was talking to the upperclassman on the other side of the door, and then she came out, and then we ran back around. We climbed out the window. We were in MacArthur Barracks, as a matter of fact, like right on the row where the superintendent could have probably seen us. So we climbed out the window, went back up, waved to our upperclassmen, and then went out to the rally. Oh boy, did we get in trouble. But, that was fun. Now you're making me realize I had more fun at West Point than I remember.
great. That's great. That taught you about trust, that taught you about that. So think about that story. That's innovative. Go get them. Nothing's going to stop you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that was really fun. So, after back to your book, More Than a
Yes.
Living with Kate
More
Shattuck, by the
than
way, if you're still listening out there, you
available
talk.
at Amazon, available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Maybe we'll
Yes,
put
I'll
the
have
show
all kinds
notes.
of links. You talk
Mhm.
about negotiating an offer, like what you finish the interview and you
Yes.
get an offer. Wow. And this is kind of what surprised me. You don't just take it, right?
Just don't.
Maybe?
Well, uh, so hard won personal advice.
Yeah.
My first job out of the army, and oh, this lady's so nice. So I say, don't just take it because guess what? This guy did over here.
Uh,
Uh, so the head of HR is calling, and she's like, Kate, we'd love you to join. And I was like, I would love it. Yes, yes. And she said, I think her name was Nicole. She said, Kate, you really need to ask me, how much does it pay?
that's funny.
Where to God. I mean, so this is why, I mean, I didn't know that. Nobody teaches you this. I didn't know. I just assumed fairness, Laurel,
Yeah.
that I would be treated fairly, and definitely I was, right? And that
Yeah.
was their intent for sure. Um, but it didn't even occur to me that I could negotiate anything,
Yeah.
because we live what I affectionately refer to as Army land,
Yeah.
where your compensation is published
Yeah.
right in a book.
No negotiation.
Yeah, there's no and also, you know, I really believe the Army and is a place where, as a woman, you're paid equal pay for equal work. And there is radical transparency in the military about compensation. Well, that doesn't exist in the corporate world. So my first advice is yes. Well, is to say thank you. Thank you for the offer. I am really excited about the organization. Everything leading up to this point has been really positive. I'm very excited. So you take that settling breath, show gratitude and appreciation, and then maybe even take a beat and say, I'm going to go get a pen and paper. Do you have a minute? I'm going to write this down. And I do think transparency here really helps, especially, is this your first job? Is this your first corporate job? Is this your first job in a sector or in a new town? And so you can ask for some grace to the person on the other line, on the person on the other side of the line, and say, this is my first corporate job offer, or this is my first job here in Nashville. Can we go through this a little slowly? I'm going to get a pen and paper. Is it okay to hold on just for a second?
Yeah.
And then typically they're going to convey what we call economic terms.
Okay.
The base salary or the hourly pay. They're going to convey any what we call variable compensation. So that might be performance oriented.
Mm-hmm.
They could talk about your benefits. And it's nice to sort of read back what you heard, and then and ask for some time to consider and think through your questions that you would have on the offer. That's a good time to phone a friend. One of my mentors taught me that she doesn't accept an offer, and they have a group of 4 or 5 women, and they made a pact when they graduated from college, and they said, none of us will accept an offer, a financial offer, an offer of employment, until they talk to 2 other people in this group.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've done that too. One of my friends, she's so amazing. She said, I want you to say so much money if they ask you what you're looking for, that you almost can't say it because it's so much you would laugh.
Wow.
Now, isn't that a good friend?
Yeah. That's awesome. Wow. That's great
Friend.
advice. Ah.
But when you're getting that offer and when you're getting the financial components, you need to do your own homework.
Yeah.
So you don't actually ask for something so ridiculous they think you're not even in the right zip code here.
Right.
This job is for this XYZ job in Nashville, you're not going to be like the next CEO of SpaceX, today.
Yeah.
So you really need to do your homework and understand the kind of the big picture areas, but take a breath.
Yes, absolutely. And again, you're so honest in this book. You talk about you've got to bring value to the workplace, right? And a line that you wrote in there was that nobody cares enough to take you on as a project. So that, and again, you talk more about that in the book, and you should really read it because it makes so much sense. The ability to show your willingness to learn. That's kind of hard to demonstrate, isn't it? But I guess once you're in a company.
Yeah. Even before, think about coming prepared for the interview with questions.
Yeah.
Showing willingness to learn, writing a follow-up note or text message to the person that you interview with, or HR, or a lot of times there's socialization meetings.
Showing respect. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about finding a shit bomb and running to it.
Yeah. A lot of people are pointing out that maybe is a great chapter.
Find a shit bomb and run to it.
Find a shit bomb. Like, right. This is a part of adding value, right? Everybody wants to work for some fancy, sparkly, beautiful company, but those places might not need help.
Yeah.
And this is totally taken from my network and various candidates. We had a candidate one time. Well, and that actually, the quote came from my candidate, who he was a young person and he was interviewing a guy that had been to Antarctica for a long time, and his eyes were all milky from the sun. And he was a college student doing some part-time work, right, for an hourly pay, helping a professor do some research. And maybe he was a English major or a literature major or something. And the guy was like, listen, you're not going to get a job. So you need to find something hard that you think is worthy of your time. And this guy moved to Bangladesh and was on the front lines of um, worker safety for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And ended up founding an organization, fundraising, and really helped changing the lives of essentially a group of really uh, women factory workers that didn't have a voice.
Wow.
And I was so impressed by that. Another one of my friends had a candidate that she was really impressed with, and this woman had volunteered for a presidential campaign, like a failing presidential campaign, and but her candidate said something smart and really interesting in a debate. And you know how like some of the campaigns have 15 candidates in them. Well, this one person went from being one of 15 and just being and also ran to like being one of three overnight. And so this young woman became the head of communications, the head of advance, the head of fundraising, and ended up being the national campaign manager for the, call it, the 6 months that this candidate had stayed in the race. And this was a moment where she just boom, she just skyrocketed as a professional and ended up to being a very, very, very accomplished executive. But it never would have happened if she had gone to that number one candidate
The
campaign.
easy. Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah,
easy job.
she didn't go to the easy one. So I do recommend that to our kids or to mentees that I have, that they volunteer for local campaigns. Like every county commissioner, every state treasurer needs a
Help.
somebody to lick the stamps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So go,
Yeah.
and what a wonderful way to find out about your community.
Government.
And
Yep.
yeah, drive around and get a sense of the different executives that are donating or in a campaign. Yeah, and I
Absolutely.
also
Yeah.
think that that can be true for a local nonprofit
Yep.
or an internship. And now the rules are pretty specific about internships. Have many that have a lot of rules about how to be paid. But I do think that sometimes your pay is through experience and
Yeah.
not just about the money.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
as much as you want to get the best thing for yourself, you've got to think about others, right? And
Hmm.
typically, you're not getting a job where you're going to be alone. You're going to have to
Right.
work with other people.
That's
And
right.
yeah, that's part of the interview too, right? Part of the impression is you might be completely qualified on paper, but there could be a chemistry issue that
Mhm.
and again, that's hard. How do you overcome something like that
Yeah,
if
tough.
it's not the right fit, right? Sometimes it's just
Yeah.
not the right fit for
Hmm.
being able to work with people. So
Hmm.
yeah. Kate Shattuck, what did you love most about your time at West Point? Completely different
Mm.
topic.
Hmm.
Other than the fact that you had lots of fun.
uh, what did I like the most?
Yeah. Yeah. What was the best thing that came out of that experience for
Oh,
you?
well, my friendships for
Yeah.
sure. My friendships. I had the best roommates who were all different from all kinds of walks of life in the world, not just the United States. So that was pretty cool. I do count Texas as sometimes not part of the United States. And I learned that pretty soon.
Yeah.
I think my classmates are really special people. They are kind, they are generous, they are tough, they're fierce, they're loyal, they're human.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Um, I loved the sense of of serving others that I got from West Point, the awe and wonder and the beauty. I love that. And it was I feel very, very fortunate. I feel really fortunate. I learned every day there.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
other place in the world, my professors, came to swim practice and came to swim meets and they taught me economics in 2 hours in the afternoon when I was scared for the exam. So,
Additional instruction. Ooh, I spent some time in
right,
AI, additional instruction.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and um, and I and the women. I think the women there for me were people I looked up to and look up to today. And
So
like I
you,
said, I think we didn't have like a standard issue girl cadet.
yeah, yeah.
And so we graduated with, I can't sometimes remember, 90 or 91 women. And people we're a little different.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little different. And
Just like the
nobody
guys, just like the men. They're all different.
cookie cutter. Right, right. And so I think that's pretty cool. Um, yeah,
So you
thank you.
also you also have an MBA from Harvard.
I do.
So which one are you most proud of? Graduating from
Well,
West
and
Point
I
again.
actually also have a master's from the Kennedy School at Harvard as well.
Okay. So
Yes.
which one are you most proud of?
Um,
Or West
I'm
Point or
I'm
Harvard?
I'm most proud of my degree of the School of Hard Knocks.
Good answer. Good
Yeah,
answer for
I think
sure.
it's the real life stuff. All that book learning provides you with a good foundation, but the School of Hard Knocks has served me pretty well.
Yeah. We mentioned AI, additional instruction. Um,
Yeah.
Also, AI now means artificial intelligence. And how how is that going to influence your job? Has it yet? Will it?
Yes. Well, this is one of the main reasons also why I wrote the book, because human interaction, the ability to look someone in the eye, the ability to give tough feedback, the ability to ask a good question, all these things are going to be competitive advantages now with AI
Mm.
and valued even more because all of the basics of computing or sort of basic knowledge is going to be base case. And now you have to give yourself your three adjectives because
Mhm.
or else AI is going to give you the wrong ones.
Yeah.
What
Ooh.
why would you want to rely on a computer to convey what you believe is your core competitive advantage? What you're going to say in the work environment, what you say in an interview is also going to be recorded and transcribed and analyzed. So
Yeah.
be prepared. Be prepared. So now I think we need this in the hands of our young people and hashtag guess what, boomers too, everybody. We all need it.
Yeah.
So it is written for that young ambitious professional, but I do think it's the any age professional can also pick this up and take some real lessons learned from this
Yeah.
as well.
Absolutely. Now, should I ask, Kate Shattuck, what questions do you have of me?
Well, well, Laurel, when you look at the various authors that you have interviewed, what are some of your biggest takeaways from this writing experience and coming on your podcast? What are some of the things that you've learned over the course of conducting this experiment?
It's been absolutely a blast. I have had so much fun doing this. And I do it as a service. my husband who looks at the amount of time that I spend reading the person's book, prepping for the interview, doing the interview, processing it, giving the links away, all that. He has asked me several times, why aren't you charging for what you do? Why aren't you? You could
Yeah.
make money doing this. And I said, because I don't, then it becomes a job. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, I am 67. I don't need a
Yeah.
job. Fortunately, I don't need a job. And so this to me is the most wonderful way of helping other authors. And I don't just interview people who are authors, anyone who wants to talk to me can, if you want to have a
Oh,
conversation with me. But it's for me, it's a way of giving back. It's a way of, and again, I get to read cool books. I get to read
yes. You
nonfiction
get
and
something.
fiction and fantasy and horror and all kinds of stuff, and meet people that I wouldn't normally meet.
Nice.
And so for me, this has been, I'll call it a hobby I think that gives back. And I'm continuing to learn. I always have a stack of books that I need to read. And
Mhm.
oh gosh, I've got a guy I'm going to interview in a couple of weeks, and he writes a laser hamsters uh, book, which is, for young kids, and it's hilarious. So I read serious
Well,
stuff, I read fun stuff, and I learn more about my own writing as well. Um, so yeah, that's
no.
kind of why I do it and why
Now,
I
and did you have a favorite chapter or did you have a favorite hack? Like at the
it,
end of each chapter,
it
I write, I write what a helpful hack of what insiders do.
helpful. I think probably a lot of the more helpful ones, and again, I'm not looking for a job, but for young people, I would
Mhm.
say it's that making sure that before you even submit an application, you have your ducks in a row, and
Mhm.
you know that what they're going to see is going to reflect the person that you want to reflect to them. So yeah, but again,
Yeah,
96 pages. Kate
96
Shattuck's
pages.
book, More Than a Living. This is your uh, you call it
My
a
first book.
blueprint, your
Yeah,
blueprint, your first book. And so,
yeah,
where can people follow you, and where can people find this?
yes. Well, they can follow me on LinkedIn
Mhm.
at linkedin.com/Kate Shattuck. And they can go to morethanalivingblueprint.com to follow news about the book, and they can buy the book on both Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
All right. And I, of course, will have links below. And people out there, give me a thumbs up because I do this because it's fun, and you're enjoying it too. I know you're enjoying it. And subscribe to my channel. Just hit that little subscribe button down there. And do you have any final words for our listeners today?
Well, thank you. I actually think, Laurel, that you are living both that chapter 10, which is a life of service. So what a great example of being more than. And I think, Laurel, that you are more than a living.
Oh,
You're showing us what it is to live a life that is more than just a job, and it's more than a living.
and again, I'm very fortunate to be able to do this, having had a career, being
Yeah.
in the military for as long as I was, and then teaching in the public school system, and then deciding to give up all paid employment to be an author. Because boy, you're not making there aren't too many people making a living being as an author, but we do it, we write because we have to and because we want to, and it helps keep us on our game. And
Sure does.
Kate
Well,
Shattuck, More Than a Living, More Than a Life. Best of luck with your gardening. I'm planting seeds today as well. I get to do some gardening, and that always makes me smile, getting my fingernails dirty. I still like to get dirty. Thank you,
awesome.
and keep
Thank
being
you.
awesome. Keep being
Thank
awesome,
you.
and we'll see you at the next West Point reunion.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.